Hello guys, Andy from Next Gen Base here with a video review, and today we're taking a look at Park Beyond on Xbox Series X. Park Beyond is a park builder similar to games like Planet Coaster and Parkitect, but albeit a park builder that plays down the sim elements a tad, encouraging you to build parks and rides that defy imagination. So in that sense, it is closer to Bullfrog's theme park world, if anyone remembers that, than to the more sim-focused games like Planet Coaster. There is a focus on generating fun parks, albeit profitable ones as well, and the more fun your guests are having, the more your park's level will increase, allowing you to unlock more rides and structures, attracting more guests. And guests also generate amazement, which allows you to research ride advancements, which are called in this game impossifications, and that is indeed a made-up word and very much something that the game points out in one of the campaign's cutscenes. These impossifications are generally rides and attractions which offer something extraordinary and fantastical, like roller coasters which launch guests between tracks, or a pirate ship ride which splits in half. But they can also help level up your shops and your staff to give guests a better experience in your park. There is some fun visuals at work with these impossifications that can really add some flavour to your parks, seeing a whole row of shops fully impossified or seeing rides throwing your guests around. It really elevates it visually over some of the other games on the market. Now, for players jumping into Park Beyond, there are a couple of play modes on offer. However, first time players will be encouraged to head straight into the campaign mode. Now, the campaign sees you trying to save a failing theme park company called Cloudstormer, and you're doing this by refurbishing old park locations and turning them into something that will attract an array of guests to visit. You do all of this by trying to balance profit with innovation, and the campaign allows you to focus on specific themes rather than being given a massive, vast sandbox to play in. Each mission in the campaign breaks its goals down into milestones to help focus the player on what to achieve next, as well as to indicate what you specifically receive for finishing each individual milestone. Now, to anyone who uses Trello or Jira at work, unfortunately these milestones are laid out a little bit like one of those boards, and it did trigger me ever so slightly because it felt like work. Another thing that feels like work are the pitch meetings that campaign missions will generally start with. Now, these allow you to focus your campaign missions to delivering specific themes with specific requirements. For example, a Wild West park for families, or a teen-focused sci-fi theme park. And dialogue choices in these sessions can also alter the goals of the campaign missions, such as deciding which specific types of ride or attraction you need to build. And this also has the added bonus of introducing discounts to the costs of rides that specifically meet those requirements. The campaign missions on a whole will give you room to learn the ropes and play with the different ride types, as well as introducing that idea of impossifying all your rides and shops and staff in your park. And following through the story of Cloudstormer will certainly help add flavour to the game as a whole and the world that it exists in. Outside of the campaign, there is of course the sandbox mode, which allows players to pick any of the available maps, set up a bunch of conditions and just play away. You can decide to tweak the difficulty to make it tougher, or open the game up so you have some immediate access to all of those rides and attractions to be able to build the park of your dreams, as well as set yourself an overall goal such as impossifying a specific set of rides. And it is just great fun to jump into one of those open sandbox sessions and just play around with different ride combinations. Obviously, I had a go on the console version of this game, and the controls work surprisingly well on a joypad, with the left analog stick moving the view around and the right stick handling rotation, and the triggers being used to zoom your view in and out. And there's various combinations of D-pad and face buttons which allow you to select different build controls and options, while pathing and building roller coasters is handled in a rather more free-form way by moving the cursor with the left stick. And the game will in many cases try and find a best fit for your track or path. However, this may not be exactly what you're after, so the bumpers in combination with the left and right sticks can be used to fine-tune things. And building roller coasters in particular, one of the cornerstones of any park builder, is really quite a doddle with this control system. The game encourages you to embrace this more free-form approach, which makes it feel very different from the more hardcore sim titles. And it's easy to drop in loop-the-loops or rolls with those impossified elements, just adding that little bit of flavour when you see the car jumping between two open bits of track, defying both the laws of gravity and of health and safety. You'll also be able to choose hooks for your roller coaster. These are the things that get the guests wanting to ride, but it's not all super easy, and building a roller coaster does require a degree of thought. While the physics in Park Beyond are a little exaggerated, your coaster can still send guests flying off the track if you are not careful. So some careful testing and tweaking is important in your builds. On a whole, Park Beyond is surprisingly detailed when you finally get into the simulation aspects of it, but not intimidatingly so. I did, however, find that there were a couple of issues during my playthrough that did scratch off the overall sheen of what is a fun little game. For starters, the game has on occasion some frustratingly long load times, particularly the initial load time to actually get into the game. And on a console like the Xbox with an SSD, this feels a little bit unacceptable. The initial tutorial is also a little too freeform and takes quite a while to get you into the first campaign mission. While it does a good job of teaching you the ropes with the controls, it feels very unfocused and repeatedly is broken up by some little cutscenes. The campaign maps themselves also show quite large areas, but they do have invisible boundaries which you can gradually unlock. However, these only really appear when you're laying rides down, which means that it can get a little bit tricky if you haven't planned where you're positioning your rides and you come up against one of these invisible boundaries. It can also be a bit easy to get into a bind with the campaign missions, as they can sometimes have you building conflicting rides and facilities, such as one early goal which led to negative income for my park and actually required me having to demolish some rides to bump that up to be able to reach another goal. Performance can also at times be a little bit stuttery, but a post-release patch has certainly helped the experience on that. However, cutscene animations are still a bit rigid, and the characters can feel at times a little bit lifeless, despite being quite stylized and cartoony. On top of all of that, I did also experience a few weird glitches, like ride queues not properly opening, groups of guests getting hung up on each other, and causing bottlenecks in my pathing, as well as some strange and weird texture warping. Players may also find that there is less content in Park Beyond than more well-developed park sims, from a lack of rides to a fewer locations to build your park sim. And while it's fun to see an entire park full of impossified rides with these limited numbers of options, the novelty of the impossification can wear off a little bit after a few games, particularly if you're dipping into the sandbox quite frequently. However, the developers are working on these, and as mentioned, there has been at least one post-launch patch at the time of recording this, which have addressed a number of bugs, and the game also has an optional annual pass, which promises to add more content over time. So, while focusing more on fun than deep simulation, Park Beyond is a throwback to older theme park sims, and while there is a little bit of roughness around the edge at times, this does feel like a great game for players who just want to jump in, lay down some rides and have some fun. And the impossifications do add a lot of life and fun into a genre which can be bogged down by stats and spreadsheets. I am giving Park Beyond a 7.5 out of 10. Despite the issues, I had a lot of fun with it and I would recommend it to folks looking for something similar. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a comment, and while you're on your way down to the comments, if you'd like to give the like and subscribe buttons a little bit of a kicking on the way past, we would really appreciate it. They've been a bit cheeky of late and I think they need putting in their place, so get your mouse clicks ready. And to those of you who are subscribers and who are revisiting our channel, thank you very much. Your patronage is always appreciated. For those of you who aren't subscribers, we hope to see you around, and in the future we have plenty of videos coming up, so keep your eyes peeled and we will see you next time. Bye bye for now.